Game over. Game over. Lights out. You've just been completely obliterated publicly. With
Cool.
you've been caught. You've been folded like a chair, caught with your pants down.
And chaos and randomness is something else.
What do you mean? Randomness
Indeterminism.
is
Wait, so
deterministic. What the fuck?
No,
wait,
I'm sorry. First of all,
we can track a hurricane. Does that mean that like God sent down the hurricane, every hurricane?
no. My point
Is a
is, no
hurricane
one can deny the
organized?
fact.
Is a hurricane organized?
No one can deny. Just one second.
Look,
Just one
if
second.
it's indeterministic, if it's not determined, then presumably the event in question wasn't necessitated by antecedent conditions, right? And part within that category are just going to be random events. So when you say random events aren't indeterministic, I don't know what the hell you mean.
No, can you please first of all define what you mean by deterministic? Because I can see that
If
you can't.
something,
You're
determinism is just going to be the thesis, right? That all events are going to be necessitated by antecedent conditions. Okay?
no, not okay. Okay,
Not
let me
okay.
just
Okay, what's the problem with that definition?
let me just make things simpler. Let me tell you why I think, or what, not why I think, why I see the universe as organized
I'm
and
not.
governed by
I'm
laws.
not. We're talking about definitions right now. We could get to that in a second. Like, why is my definition not like correct here?
Okay, could you please repeat the definition again because I couldn't
That
fully understand the definition.
all events are going to be necessitated by antecedent conditions. That's what determinism is.
Okay, so okay, uh, I don't. I'm sorry, English is not my main
All
language, so
events are
just say,
necessitated by past conditions, by
yes,
events in the
yes, that,
past.
yes, that's determinism, yes, but
And indeterminism is the negation of that, right? It's the inverse of that, right? Where
yes,
all
okay, but
events
that is
are not necessitated by past conditions.
perfect, but that doesn't imply randomness.
How isn't it, right?
Are
If
you
it's
saying that?
random, presumably there's no explanation for why it exists or how it came about. If there
No.
was an explanation, that would just be compatible under a deterministic thesis.
Here where I disagree with you, because that's why I asked you that you define randomness first before we go to this
Randomness
discussion.
just means not determined.
It just means not
No,
determined.
no, no. No. Randomness means, if you check what randomness is, it's the thing that we cannot predict. Randomness, when you read the textbooks, you will see that randomness is the anything that we cannot predict. If you cannot predict the outcome of
Yeah,
any
and
system,
things that you aren't and things which you can't predict are just going to be compatible logically with things that presumably have no explanation for how they come about. There's like they're
no.
not
First of all,
necessitated by past conditions.
no.
Your
First of all,
definition actually doesn't rule out my definition for indeterminism.
First of all, just because you cannot predict something doesn't mean it's unpredictable. Many things
I
into
didn't
that.
say that it was unpredictable. I'm just saying that it's not necessitated by past conditions.
Okay, if something is not necessitated by past conditions, doesn't mean it's random. That is something, and that is something entirely different. You're just trying to mix two things that are
No,
not.
I'm just saying that randomness would have to entail. Look, is there if I say that the action in which you move your arm is random, does it make sense to say that that action was determined?
Okay, you can say that, but that doesn't
No,
mean
no,
that
I'm
there
asking you a
are.
question. Is it the case that that makes sense to say that if the action was random, it was determined? That there's some explanation for how such a state of affairs came about?
Could you give another example?
Oh
Another.
my God! Look, right.
Mhm.
Something falls from the sky, right? I
Yes.
say that that something falling from the sky is random. Does it make sense to say that that thing that falls from the sky has an explanation or is necessitated by a past condition, right? Or that there, like, something caused it to be the case?
If we
Well,
know, yeah,
the
it is
problem,
deterministic.
the
Either
problem is
random, look, you have a dichotomy here. Either random events are determined or not, in which case they would not be determined, which is what indeterminism is. So which one is?
So Dart, can I come here for a second? Everything that we know in this
I'm
universe,
not talking about what we know. I'm talking about what the actual state of affairs are. Either random events are going to be determined or not. So if he says that random events
everything,
are not
everything, everything is
deterministic,
deterministic.
then
By your
then
definition, yeah.
in virtue of the fact that he thinks that random events are not indeterministic, the only other option in that disjunction is that they are going to be deterministic.
no, no, that's not correct.
No,
That's not
that's not
correct
okay.
at all.
What's the third option then?
Okay, actually,
Either
we have
random
gone
events
far
are
away.
determined or not.
Well, you can have some phenomena that are not determined, but at the same time that are not random. That's what I'm trying to say. These are two different things. I'm not mixing
I'm
between
not saying.
determinism and
Look,
randomness and
look,
randomness.
look. Right. We're talking about either it's the case, right, that X, in virtue of the fact that it is random, it is either going to be determined or it's not going to be the case that it's
No,
determined.
no,
How is that
that's
not
not
a
the
true?
case.
What's the fucking third option then? How
It's
do you
not
know what
about
a true
it. No, no, no.
dichotomy is? How is that
You're
not P or
making
not P?
no, no. The point is you're making a false statement, and you want me to make a choice about a false statement. It's like giving
How
me
is
the
it
choice.
false?
No, no.
Show
It's
me
like
how it's false.
it's not. It's like giving me the. You're telling me that I have a circle on the shape of a square. How can you put it in your pocket, for example? The statement in the first place is not logical. Randomness and determinism are not related. Randomness is something, and determinism is something else. You're
Okay, so
trying
you
to
think
make a
randomness is
relation.
indeterministic then?
Again, if we cannot say that randomness is deterministic or not deterministic. Randomness is something, randomness is a definition, and determinism is another definition. You can have something randomness, either deterministic or non-deterministic. That's something, and that's something else. You cannot. What you're
What's the
saying in the
third
first place
option?
is
What's the third option presumably to either determinism or non-determinism?
there is no third
Okay, so
option.
then you agree it's a true dichotomy then. So then why did you object the first time? Look, either it's the
I'm
case,
I'm objecting that you
either it's the
are
case
connecting.
that if there is something that is random, it is either determined or not. You agree that that was a true dichotomy, right?
Yes, okay,
Okay, so
yes.
then
And
why
then
did you say that what I said didn't follow or it was false? I don't understand. Now you're just contradicting yourself.
how does this relate to my initial
Because you
proposal
said
is
something
that the universe.
ridiculous. You said that randomness
No, no.
isn't
Okay,
indeterministic.
okay. At the first place, what did I say? I said that the universe is organized, and then you digged into this point to prove what? What are you
Are
trying to
random
prove?
events determined? Yes or no?
They could be determined or they could be undetermined.
You're saying that it could be a conjunction of two propositions that are inconsistent with one another.
No, no. You can have a system that is totally unpredictable, but you can extract from this system patterns like statistical patterns or patterns that are not determined or are not deterministic at all. But it doesn't have to be deterministic or non-deterministic. Organization could be deterministic. You can have a system that is 100% predictable. You can predict step by step what happens, or you can have a system that is totally unpredictable by nature, but still it has systems and it has predictions and it has some kinds of patterns, statistical patterns and
Yeah, and what
probabilistic
makes you?
patterns.
What? Yeah, okay. And what makes you think that there are things in the universe that aren't ordered? Just take away the whole order, the whole determinism, indeterminism thing.
Well, I didn't say that there are things in the universe that aren't ordered. My first proposition was is that I see an ordered universe, and that's why I believe this order has a source behind
What
it,
are the
has
predictions?
a
What are the
mental.
novel predictions that are generated under theism? Right. That presumably is just going to explain the datum that we have in ordered universe.
What are
What are
predictions?
the
No,
predictions that the claim that God exists, right, generates, given the
does
data
it
that
have
there is
to
an
make a
ordered
prediction?
universe?
Well,
Darth, can I ask you a question?
No.
if something doesn't make a prediction, doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong.
You can ask it. You can ask it after this debate is done. What are you gonna say?
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm asking you what predictions does the claim that God exists, right? Or that in virtue of the fact that there is an ordered universe, that would entail that God exists. What predictions does that hypothesis generate?
Well, the prediction is that the science is going to show more and more organizations in the universe in the future. That's
And
one
what
simple
explains
prediction.
that?
Well, a very simple explanation. Since we are here, we see that we know only one source of organization. We are human beings. We can
And what's that
organize
one
things that
source?
are or unorganized. Just one second. We as a mental beings can organize things that are not organized. We can make laws. We can make all kind of laws. And we come to a universe that we see that is organized and is filled with laws. All the theories that we have in the universe, theories that govern the big things and the small things, they are all governed by laws, mathematical laws. So we see these laws. It's very apparent that we can have the simple explanation that these laws also have a mental source that just like the
Well,
laws that we have in our daily life have
that's
mental
just
source.
presupposing that the hypothesis is true. I'm just asking you in virtue of what. I'm just asking you in virtue of what is the hypothesis going to generate any predictions?
Again, I'm going
What's
to
the
predict
intentional
that
explanation
science,
that you're going to give?
again, I'm going to predict, first of all, that science will reveal more and more on organizations in the universe. That's a prediction. Although I know that just if
Why?
something doesn't make a prediction doesn't make it wrong. Why what? You're just you're
Why?
just
Why do
asking
you think
questions
that we'll encounter more and more order in virtue of what?
in virtue of what we saw before. Science since its beginning is the process of discovering the laws that govern the universe, the patterns that we see in everything in our lives and in
The
everything in
laws
our
that govern the
experiments.
universe now don't entail that it's more probable that that's going to continue in the future. In virtue of what are they going to be more probable?
Because that's what we see.
Well,
The
then
other option is the less
you're just
likely.
repeating the
Okay,
claim. Then I'm just
no, no, no. The other option. Well, if you are moving on a road and you
the
see
other
this road
options are that
organized,
wait. The other options are that the laws are necessary, right? The fine tuning of the universe is just going to be necessary given the laws, or it's just going to be there by chance. So, in virtue of what probability advantage of probability does the theistic claim of design have over the other two hypotheses?
well, first of all, what does it mean to be necessary, and why would the laws be necessary? And what is more, what is closer to naturalness? then the laws something organized or something fundamentally chaotic? What is more natural?
That's not an argument against the hypothesis. You're just asking a question, right? I'm asking you for an argument against the other two hypotheses.
Well, that's a question. If you can't answer the question, then you can consider it an argument because you can't answer the question.
No, I'm just asking you because presumably you want to say that the fine tuning of the universe is.
No, no, I'm not saying, no, no, I didn't mention anything about fine tuning. I'm saying that there is law,
There is laws
law and
and there's
organization.
order. And
Whether it's fine tuned or not, that's not the problem here. The thing is here, we have undeniable laws in the universe that govern everything in the universe. No one can deny them because denying them is denying, literally denying science
how is it
itself.
denying
So no
science?
one can deny science because science is the process of discovering these laws. Those people who won the Nobel, they predicted a law about nature. They predicted a particle using their equations, which describe the laws that govern
Yeah,
the
and we
universe.
discovered that
Okay,
they're necessary.
and when their
Yeah, and we
predictions
discovered that
are
they're necessary. So now argue against it.
what do you mean that we discovered they're necessary?
Yeah, that they couldn't be otherwise, right? All the order that you see around you
How?
is
No,
just a
no, no.
product
I'm sorry,
of
but
necessity.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but you are just speaking without thinking what you're saying.
Isn't that what you're
What?
doing right now when you're
No,
presuming
that's
the
not what I'm
design
doing.
hypothesis?
I'm just saying that there are facts about the universe, undeniable facts.
How do you
These
argue
facts
against
show us
necessity, sir?
necessity of what and what is
That
necessity.
the laws of nature are
Necessity of the laws.
necessary, and that's just going to explain why we see the order in the universe.
Okay, the question is, okay, they could be necessary, but the question is, why is necessity law and why is it necessity chaos?
There's no
Why is the
explanation for
necessity
why they're
chaos?
necessary. It's brute.
Okay, I'm telling you that based on my experience on daily life, I have a
All
source of
necessities are
the
brute, so I
law.
don't know why you would ask
Okay,
why there's an
okay.
explanation for
No, no, no.
necessary.
What I'm saying here is that I am one step ahead of you. You are in a point where you're saying, well, I don't have an explanation. It's just like that, and there is no explanation for that. While I'm telling you that no, based on my daily experience, I have a source for what is called a law. We, as a
No, you
mental
don't.
beings,
No, you
no, no,
don't.
no.
Look,
I do, I do.
is it just gonna be
We,
under your view? Sorry.
no,
Is
no,
it just
not
gonna
my
be under
view,
your
not
view?
my
Is it
view.
just wait,
No,
hold
no, no,
on.
not my
Is
view.
it just gonna be is it just gonna be under your view that God had the desire to create a ordered universe? And that in virtue of that, that explains why we have an ordered universe?
I didn't go to the desire. I
I
didn't
asked you
go
a
to God. We're
question.
just
Is that your view
talking.
or not? Just answer the question.
My view is that the very, the closest explanation to the laws, the necessary laws of nature, is that they have a source which is mental. Why?
What explains them being mental? That's what we're asking you this entire time.
Because because based on my experience, I am a mental being, and we and
How is
you
your
and
experience gonna
just
be any
let me.
justification, right, for why it's the case? That's more probable
Well,
under theism.
again,
People can
I'm
have a
one step
different
ahead of you.
experience and report that no, we
Yes,
actually
yes.
experienced disorder, right? And that would be evidence against the
Well,
God.
again, I'm one step ahead of you. You are in a position where you're saying I don't have explanation, and I
Why
am
would you
stuck
need
here,
an
and I will not have an
explanation?
explanation. Well, because
There's there's no
we
explanation to
have
how.
cases.
Wait. Hold on. When I talk, right, no one else speaks, right? So
No, no,
there's
no.
no
I can talk
explanation.
whenever,
There's no
whenever I want. By the
explanation.
way.
Sorry,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
talking.
I can talk.
I'm
No, no, no.
talking.
I can talk.
Sorry,
I
don't
can talk
overtalk
whenever.
me.
Okay. I thought.
Sorry. Okay, look, there's no explanation as
I'm
to
sorry.
how
I
God is so
can
ordered,
continue
right?
this conversation.
Look, not when you
It's
interrupt me,
not
right?
the
There's no
kind of
explanation as to how
conversation
God is
that
so
I
ordered.
want to
So why would
contribute
we
in.
need an explanation as to how the universe is ordered,
Well, I'm sorry,
right?
I thought this was a civilized or a conversation
No, it
where
is
two.
civilized. I haven't
No,
insulted you.
it's not. It's not. When I find a conversation where people just speak for the sake of their arguments without thinking even about what I'm
I'm
saying, then
thinking about
this
it.
is a
What is it?
conversation that doesn't
What the fuck did I
deserve
say
to
that
be
didn't
continued.
follow, or was a non
No,
sequitur,
no.
or
You
wasn't
you
true?
have been I started the conversation. I thought we are going to speak elegantly about these questions that we all ask. But what I
I mean,
find
I
is that
am speaking
you are
elegantly. I have
no,
a
no, no,
sexy voice.
no,
Now, can you
no,
tell
no,
me?
no.
Can you tell me how it's the case? How is the
You're just
case that?
throwing
How
you're
is the
just throwing
case?
arguments
Hey,
for the
hey,
sake of
hey!
the
I'm
arguments,
talking. I'm talking.
without even thinking. It's
I'm
like moving
talking.
your mouth
Okay, okay, I'm gonna
without
mute you
thinking.
again. Look, how is it the case that positing an intentional explanation, right, is going to be any more virtuous than positing a natural explanation, right? Then you just kept saying, well, because in virtue of the fact that these laws are a certain way, given how I experience them, and given that I experience order, that implies a mental source. Yeah, but that's the thing in question. We're asking you how you know it's a mental source, right? So, what's going to be the probability, given your view, that it's going to rule out the other two options, right?
Well, again, I told you I'm a step ahead of you. I see that we can create laws from no laws, and we are a source of laws. And when we have a situation where you have a universe with laws, and you, as an atheist, or I don't know what you are, you're
Mhm.
saying, well, I don't have an explanation, and I come and tell you, well, I have a source that I know of which is capable of creating laws,
No,
which
you don't
is
have. Well, you don't
mentality.
have an
No, no,
ex.
no,
You
no.
think you have an explanation,
I
but actually
have
you
a
don't.
source.
I'll explain
I
why.
have a source. I have
No,
a
you
source.
don't. No,
Don't
you
you think
don't.
that we
No,
can
you don't.
create?
Look,
No, no,
look,
no, no.
look, look,
You
look,
don't think
look.
that
Stop
we can?
interrupting me, right? Presumably, if you think that there's going to be an intentional explanation, you're going to appeal to God's desires, right? And you might want to say, well, God is just going to be the type of entity that we expect, that given that he desires a universe that's ordered and intelligible, presumably that is going to explain the datum away. But you see, if it just happens to be the case that God desires an ordered universe, right? Then I'm just going to argue that there's not going to be any relevant difference there between the exponens and the exponandum, right? Because
No, not
I'm not
right.
asking
Because
you. I'm not asking you whether or not the order is better explained by God. I'm just asking you what predictions does it generate, and what novel predictions just does it generate. It's not novel. It's not a novel encounter that the universe is ordered, right? We can grant you that much. But the problem is that it's already expected, given your hypothesis, that we would have an ordered universe because God desires that. God's desires in here both account for the exponens and the exponandum, right? So it's not. It's just going to be an untestable narrative that you have here, right? If a physicalist, if I were a naturalist, right, and I told you that the reason why we have an ordered universe, right, is because there's like the laws of nature are just so necessary up to the point that it could just create order out of its necessity, right? Have I really giving you like a novel account as to what you would expect in that universe? No, right? It's already expected given the hypothesis that these things are going to be explained. So I'm just saying that you have a just so story, right? Any more or less that the naturalist could give a just so story.
well, I don't know why you say desire. I didn't mention anything
Look,
about desires. I didn't mention
do you
anything.
know what
You're
intentional
just
explanations?
going
Do you
away.
know what intentional
You're just going
explanations
away
are?
from my. Okay, I know what intentional explanations are, and what the point I was
Okay,
making. You
what
didn't even
explains
start
why
to
we have an ordered
answer.
universe? What
I'm sorry.
explains that?
What explains what? I'm sorry.
Why we have an ordered universe?
Well, I just answered that about 3 times.
No, you just said your experience, but so what? I have the opposite experience.
No.
I
Again,
have the
again,
experience
again,
that
again,
the universe was
again,
caused
because
by
you
the
seem
laws
that
that
you
are
didn't
that are
even
necessary,
listen
right?
to me. You didn't
Nomologically.
even you didn't even listen to me. Again, you don't have explanation. You are saying that the laws are necessary, but you
I know
don't
I'm
know
not giving
why.
you. I don't have to explain why the laws are
Okay,
necessary.
I'm
I'm
not
just
saying yes,
explaining.
yes. That's what I'm saying.
Sorry,
That's what I'm
sorry. I'm
saying.
not done. I'm explaining to you the
You're just
datum.
talking. You don't let anyone talk because
No, because
you
you're
cannot answer
misrepresenting.
what they're
I'm
saying.
not giving you. I don't have to give you an account for why the laws are necessary. I'm just saying that what I have to
So you don't
explain.
have an account. That's what I'm saying. You don't have an account,
Do you
right?
have an account for God? Let me just ask you that.
Okay, okay.
Do you have an account for God? Yes or no?
Let's keep God. Let's keep God. I'm telling you, let's
No,
keep
no,
God
no.
for 1 second.
Answer the fucking question right now. Do you have an account for God or
Are
not?
we having a fight? That's not a conversation about.
Answer the question. Do you have an account for God or not?
No. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
I
yeah,
can't.
so but that's not
I
the thing
can't
that we're
complete.
trying to explain. We're not
Just
trying to
believe whatever
explain.
you want
Look,
to believe.
I'm not
Thank you
trying
very
to
much.
explain.
Goodbye. Thank
Shut
you.
up while I'm talking. I'm just gonna mute you, right? So I'm not a fucking idiot, right? The thing in question that it has to be explained is not whether or not the laws are necessary, right? The thing that needs to be explained is the datum that the universe is ordered, right? There's no explanation for the hypothesis. The hypothesis is just used to explain the datum. Like how
That guy
fucking
was fucking
stupid.
retarded. Mr. fucking I'm 3 steps ahead of you. Like, fuck off.
Haiti, would you like to come up and defend your atheism?
Jack, what do you think about that, Jack?
About what?
Did you just just debated someone and destroyed them? What do you think about that?
I didn't understand what he was saying.
He wanted me. He was so stupid. He asked me, "What explains the hypothesis, Jack?" Then I told him, "No, the hypothesis is just used to explain the datum, right? The datum in question here is just going to be what explains why there's an ordered universe, right?" That just went over his head. And then I said, "Well, what accounts for God then, right? Because God is in your hypothesis." And he's like, "No, I don't have an account for God." Okay, dipshit, then I don't have to give an account for why the laws of nature are necessary. What a fucking dumbass that guy is. I don't care if like English is your first or last language, right? It's like if you're gonna say dumb shit like that, I'm gonna curse you out.
Hey, strong atheist, why are you an atheist?
Wait, but before we get Jack, do you think I was like overtly aggressive with him?
Probably.
Well, that guy didn't even understand what you were saying, so it's not like it was a real argument.
No, he just appealed to his fucking stupid experience, right? When I could just argue the opposite. I have the experience that the laws of nature best predict why we have an ordered universe.
Strong atheist, are you there?